Can you really dance yourself to death? Or start a war over a stray dog? Believe it or not, history is packed with bizarre and hilarious moments just like these. Get ready as we dive into the top 10 most bizarre historical events that will leave you scratching your head and laughing out loud. 10th on the list is the dancing plague of 1518, one of history's strangest and most baffling events. It all started in Strasbourg when a woman began dancing wildly in the streets. At first, it seemed like a harmless, if not odd, display. But as days went by, more people joined in, moving frantically to no music, unable to stop no matter what. Soon, hundreds of people were dancing uncontrollably. This wasn't just a spontaneous party, it turned deadly. Many collapsed from exhaustion, and some reportedly died from heart attacks or strokes. Authorities were so desperate that they brought in musicians, hoping organized dancing would somehow cure the afflicted. Spoiler: it didn't. To this day, historians and scientists debate what caused this bizarre episode. Was it mass hysteria? Ergot poisoning from moldy bread? Or something even stranger? Whatever the reason, the dancing plague remains one of history's most unexplainable and eerie moments. 9th on the list is the Great Emu War of 1932, a battle so absurd it sounds like fiction. In the farmlands of Western Australia, emus, massive, flightless birds, were wreaking havoc on crops, much to the frustration of local farmers. Desperate for help, they called on the government, which decided to send in soldiers. Yes, actual soldiers, armed with machine guns, to deal with the emu problem. The campaign quickly turned into chaos. The emus proved to be surprisingly tactical, scattering into small, hard-to-hit groups and moving swiftly across the rugged terrain. Despite firing thousands of rounds, the soldiers only managed to kill a fraction of the birds. The emus, on the other hand, continued their crop-destroying rampage. In the end, the military withdrew, defeated by the feathered foes. The Great Emu War didn't just end in failure, it also became a global punchline. Imagine losing a war to a bunch of giant birds. 8th on the list is the Tunguska Event of 1908, a cosmic mystery that rocked the Siberian wilderness. Early one morning, a massive explosion flattened over 2,000 square kilometers of forest near the Tunguska River. The blast was so powerful it shattered windows hundreds of kilometers away and knocked people off their feet. Here's the twist: no crater was ever found. Scientists believe it was likely caused by a meteoroid or comet exploding in the atmosphere, releasing energy equivalent to 1,000 Hiroshima bombs. Yet, no fragments were ever recovered, and no one witnessed anything falling from the sky. The Tunguska event remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of modern times. Was it a meteoroid? A comet? Or something more bizarre, like an alien spacecraft? Whatever caused it, the devastation was undeniable, and the questions it left behind still puzzle scientists today. 7th on the list is the Boston Molasses disaster of 1919, a sugary catastrophe that sounds like something out of a bizarre cartoon. On a cold January day, a massive storage tank in Boston's North End burst open, unleashing over 8.7 million liters of molasses into the streets. The wave of sticky syrup, moving at an astonishing 35 miles per hour, swept through the neighborhood, demolishing buildings, overturning vehicles, and trapping anyone in its path. Tragically, 21 people lost their lives, and over 150 were injured in the chaos. Rescuers faced a nightmarish challenge, wading through thick, knee-deep molasses to save survivors. In the aftermath, the city reeked of molasses for months, and the disaster left a lasting mark on Boston's history. To this day, some locals claim you can still catch a faint whiff of molasses on a hot summer day in the North End. 6th on the list is the year without a summer, 1816. A year so bizarre it felt like nature itself had turned against humanity. In April 1815, Mount Tambora in Indonesia erupted in one of the most powerful volcanic explosions in recorded history. The blast sent massive amounts of ash and gas into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and altering global weather patterns. The following year, temperatures plummeted worldwide, leading to failed crops, food shortages, and widespread famine. Snow fell in June in the northeastern United States, while Europe faced relentless storms and cold. Starvation and disease became rampant, and the eerie weather led many to believe the apocalypse was near. Yet, in the midst of this chaos, creativity flourished. Stuck indoors by the unseasonal cold, a group of writers, including Mary Shelley, gathered near Geneva. It was during this time that Shelley penned the iconic novel Frankenstein. So, while The Year Without a Summer brought devastation, it also gave birth to a literary monster that continues to haunt and inspire. Fifth on the list is the exploding whale incident of 1970, a tale so absurd it became a legend of bureaucratic blunders. It all began on a beach in Florence, Oregon, where a massive 8-ton sperm whale had washed ashore and died. The decaying carcass posed a problem. What do you do with something so big and so smelly? The Oregon Highway Division came up with a solution: dynamite. Their plan was to blow up the whale into tiny pieces, which scavengers like seagulls would then eat. Sounds logical, right? Spoiler alert, it wasn't. When the dynamite was detonated, the explosion sent massive chunks of whale blubber flying through the air, smashing into cars, and narrowly missing spectators who had gathered to watch. Instead of clearing the beach, the blast just made a bigger mess, and the remaining chunks of the whale were still too large for the scavengers to handle. The incident became a cautionary tale of bad planning and remains a comedic footnote in history. If there's one lesson here, it's this: maybe don't blow up a whale with dynamite. Fourth on the list is the War of the Stray Dog in 1925, a conflict so ridiculous it sounds like the setup for a sitcom. The incident began on the tense border between Greece and Bulgaria. A Greek soldier's dog crossed the border, and as the soldier went to retrieve it, Bulgarian forces shot him, sparking a full-blown international crisis. Outraged, Greece launched an invasion of Bulgaria, taking control of several border villages. The situation escalated quickly, and both nations prepared for a larger war. However, the League of Nations intervened, demanding a ceasefire and ordering Greece to withdraw and pay reparations to Bulgaria. In the end, dozens of lives were lost, all over a dog. The War of the Stray Dog remains a reminder of how small incidents can snowball into international chaos, proving once again that truth is often stranger than fiction. Third on the list is Operation Paul Bunyan in 1976, the most over-the-top military response to cutting down a tree. It all started in the Korean Demilitarized Zone, where 2 American soldiers were killed by North Korean troops while attempting to trim a poplar tree that was blocking the view of a key observation point. The United States decided to respond in dramatic fashion. They launched Operation Paul Bunyan, a show of force involving hundreds of soldiers, dozens of vehicles, and B-52 bombers circling overhead. Armed troops marched into the DMZ, surrounded the infamous tree, and chopped it down with chainsaws while North Korean forces nervously watched from a distance. In the end, the mission was a success. The tree came down without further bloodshed. But the sheer scale of the operation to cut down a single tree remains one of history's most bizarre military moves. Second on the list is the Phobos 2 incident of 1989, a mystery that still fascinates space enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists alike. The Soviet Union had launched Phobos 2, a spacecraft designed to study Mars and its enigmatic moon, Phobos. Everything was going smoothly until the spacecraft sent back one final, chilling image: a strange, shadowy shape near the Martian surface. Moments later, Phobos 2 went silent. The Soviets announced that the spacecraft had suffered a technical failure, but rumors quickly spread. Some speculated that the shadow captured in the last image was evidence of a UFO. Others theorized that Phobos itself, believed by some to be an artificial structure, was involved in the spacecraft's demise. Official explanations remain vague, and no conclusive evidence has ever been provided. Whether it was a technical mishap or something far stranger, the Phobos 2 incident remains one of space exploration's most bizarre and debated events. Finally, At the top of the list is the Erie Canal Mule-Drawn circus disaster of 1829, an event that blended chaos, comedy, and calamity in the most unexpected way. A traveling circus attempted to transport their performers, human and animal alike, via the Erie Canal, using mule-drawn canal boats. Things started to go wrong almost immediately. The boats weren't designed to carry large animals like elephants and lions, leading to overcrowding and instability. At one point, one of the boats tipped, spilling both performers and animals into the canal. Lions swam frantically, clowns tried to stay afloat in their oversized costumes, and mules panicked on the narrow towpath. The chaos didn't end there. The circus performers managed to get the animals back on board, but the journey continued with delays and mishaps. The disaster became the talk of the region, not because of the tragedy. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt, but because of the sheer absurdity of the situation. The Erie Canal Mule-Drawn circus fiasco remains a forgotten yet hilarious chapter in history. And that wraps up our top 10 most bizarre historical events. From mysterious disasters to unbelievable decisions, history truly is stranger than fiction. Which one amazed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your take.